Welcome to my channel Techify with Adil. So today we will be seeing one of the important and interesting topic under Azure fundamentals is Azure DNS. The Azure DNS is a hosting service for DNS domain that provides a name resolution by using Microsoft Azure infrastructure. So usually we would have come across the DNS server in our on-prem. So Azure has a service called Azure DNS. So this service helps you do the same task of what your on-prem DNS server will be doing. Just this is a Microsoft Azure infrastructure providing service. So what are the benefits of using Azure DNS? So it provides you good reliability and performance, then good security, ease of use, then customizable virtual networks and alias records. It supports alias records. So we will see one by one the benefits of Azure DNS. So reliability and performance. So DNS domain in Azure DNS are hosted on Azure global network of DNS name servers, providing latency and high availability. So Azure DNS uses anycast networking. So the closest available DNS server answers each DNS query, providing fast performance and high availability for your domain. So how the structure, how it's able to attain this reliability and performance is, once you have your records added to your Azure DNS, so those details are hosted on Azure global network of DNS name servers. So it provides high availability. So all globally available DNS name servers will have your record. So Azure DNS uses anycast networking. So we know what's anycasting. So anycast means like when your client is requesting for some details or requesting for some name or location of IP address, then it goes to any of the nearest available server to obtain the data. So there's another networking cast called unicast. Unicast means it's mostly we can compare to our office and our home network, especially because all our client requests will just go to a single point server, usually our home router. Then the router provides you the information. If there is a high traffic of queries going to your router, it takes delay in your reply, and if the server doesn't have data, then it takes more because it has to go back check to your universal DNS. So that is unicasting. So here in Azure case it uses anycast. So we have globally deployed multiple DNS name servers. So your request will go to any of the closest available servers so that you get your answer very fast. The performance is high. Then for the security part, Azure DNS is based on Azure Resource Manager, which provides features like role-based access control. So with Azure, this is very common. Role-based access control, we are being looking at it at every point of Azure topic. So Azure role-based control can be used in Azure DNS. Then activity logs to monitor how a user in your organization modified a resource or to find an error when troubleshooting. So like any admins or whoever has access to the connections resources, so anybody making any modifications, it will be recorded in the activity logs. Then we have lock function, so which means we can lock a subscription, resource group or resources from preventing it from accidental deletion or modifying the critical resources. Then for ease of use, Azure DNS can manage DNS records for your Azure services and provide DNS for your external resources as well. So Azure DNS is integrated in the Azure portal and uses the same credentials, support contract and billing as your other Azure services, which makes it very easy for managing and billing. Because Azure DNS is running on Azure, it means you can manage your domains and records with the Azure portal, Azure PowerShell commandlets and the cross-platform Azure CLI. So the same way how you will be accessing your normal Azure resources, the same way you can access to the Azure DNS as well. You don't need some special tool or special portals to access it. Applications that require automated DNS management can integrate with the service by using the REST API and SDKs. Then customizable virtual network with private domain. So Azure DNS also supports private DNS domains. So this feature allows you to use own custom domain name in the private virtual network rather than being stuck with Azure provided names. Usually when we are creating the Azure accounts, then your domain name will be like, for example, here we can say techify with Adil at dot on microsoft.com, something like this. So which always will have your Azure provided name. So these are all the example of Azure provided name. So you can have your own customized private DNS names also. Say techify with adil.com, like techify with adil.in or .sg, something like that. So once you have this kind of private DNS domains, you just need to add your records, and Azure DNS also supports this. So it's not only since it's an Azure service, doesn't matter, it only is going to support your Azure provided names. It's going to support also your private DNS names. Then alias records. So Azure DNS also supports alias record set. So like you have an alias name for your public IP address, or for your traffic manager, or for CDN endpoint, then that can also be supported using the Azure DNS. So yeah, this is about the alias record support as well. So we see Azure DNS is like having very good benefits of like using alias record, can use private DNS, and it's very globally deployed, and it is using any cast, so that your performance will be higher. So just beyond all this, to just have more clarity, so I have made a comparison between Azure DNS with on-prem DNS, what we usually or our infra people usually have dealt with. So the Azure DNS, right, so it's a managed service. So as mentioned before, it's a service from Azure. It's a managed service. So Azure DNS is fully managed service, meaning Microsoft handles all maintenance, updates, and security patches for you. Just you are using the service. Scalability. It offers high scalability and can handle large volumes of DNS queries without requiring additional infrastructure. Then high availability. Azure DNS has built-in high availability and redundancy features, ensuring reliable DNS resolution. Then cost efficiency is more cost efficient, as it eliminates the need for physical hardware and reduces the operational cost. Integration with Azure services. Seamless integration with Azure service, making it easy to manage the DNS for resources hosted in Azure. DevOps friendly. So supports automation and integration with DevOps workflow through Azure Resource Manager ARM templates. So this ARM we will discuss in a separate video. Then on-prem DNS server. So this, as we know in general, when we are having on-prem, then it's going to have a full control over that. So we have also seen the advantage of having an on-prem server in my previous video of Azure virtual machine, and also the on-prem. What's the difference of having the machine in our on-prem? Then including software, hardware, and configuration, everything, we have a full control over the on-prem DNS server. So it allows for extensive customization, because everything we have in control, so we can do any kind of customization policies. Whatever we need, we can make customization in the DNS server. Then existing investments, like utilizes existing investment in the DNS structure, which can be beneficial for organization with established system. Then latency may offer lower latency for on-prem resources, as DNS queries do not need to transfer the internet, like your DNS service in your office. This is the case only when your data center and you working in the same network. If your data center is going to be at a different data center is in a different location, and you're working from a different location your office is, then obviously it has to travel through the internet, then we don't achieve this lower latency. So it's attained only when everything is located within the same network. Security can be configured to meet specific security requirements and compliance standards. Also, we have a third model like hybrid approach. So this hybrid DNS resolution is defined here as enabling Azure resource to resolve your on-prem domains and on-prem DNS to resolve your Azure private DNS zones. So it's like both works interrelated. Your on-prem domains will help to resolve, Azure resources will help to resolve your on-prem domains, and the other way, your on-prem DNS will also resolve your Azure private DNS zones. Like for organization needing both the on-prem and cloud resources, they go for this kind of approach. So this involves using Azure DNS private resolver along with on-prem DNS servers to ensure seamless name resolution across both environments. So here the key point is Azure DNS private resolver. So this one we will be discussing in our next playlist of Azure administration. So we will see in deep into this, what this private DNS resolver is, how it's being used. So for now you just make note that when you're using hybrid approach, the Azure DNS private resolver is the key thing used for name resolution. Then Azure DNS Private Resolver is a service that can resolve on-premise DNS queries for Azure DNS private zones.